Hey guys, thanks for watching. So today is going to be my video about traveling in Colombia. I was in Colombia for about a month, maybe a little bit more. I was alone for about half of the time in Colombia. So half of the time I traveled solo and the other half I was with friends. There's no other way to get from where I was in Central America to Colombia without going through Costa Rica and Panama. Those are the land connections. I didn't want to spend time in Costa Rica or Panama at the moment because of how expensive they are. I got the bus from Nicaragua to Costa Rica, and then from there I flew to Cartagena. The flight was around 100 USD or something like that. So this is the center of Cartagena. I really liked Cartagena. There's a lot to do there, a lot to see. It's not as crazy or overcrowded as cities like Medellin, but there's still a lot to see, and it's by the Caribbean Sea as well, so it's a really nice place to go to the beach.
The more popular areas in the city center of Cartagena are places like Getsemani, which I actually really like, and Boca Grande. It's a lot more touristy and actually, in my opinion, a little bit more dangerous. I actually felt safer in the local area that I stayed in, even though I was pretty much the only tourist that I saw there compared to the city center. Getsemani is a really nice area that has a ton of street art. It's also a really good place to go if you like art and local culture in general, if you want to support artists. There's a lot of independent artists there selling their paintings, and it's kind of a good place to buy souvenirs. I don't think it's particularly expensive, even though it's a tourist area. One of my favorite coffee shops was this one, which is in the center, in just like one of the center squares of Cartagena. I think it's an award-winning cafe. I read about it somewhere online. I also recommend going to the old wall. It's like the remains of a historical wall from when Cartagena was a fortress. I feel like the city kind of has a mix of everything. You can find some really old historical architecture, but then you also have the modern skyscrapers paired with the beach and the coastline. Regarding beaches, if you want to go to more popular beaches or touristy beaches, you can go to Boca Grande or places like that. But personally, I really liked this beach that was a little bit closer to where I was staying. It was kind of in between where I was staying and the city center, and it was called Marbella Beach. So I actually spent a good bit of time there. It wasn't so crowded, really safe there. Didn't have any like problems with my stuff or anything. I could sort of relax and not constantly be looking around. So the local neighborhood I stayed in was called Daniel Lemaitre, which was really nice. I really liked it. Some of the local neighborhoods in Cartagena have a reputation for being a bit dangerous, but I felt really safe in this one. The local people were really friendly and really nice to me. The hosts were amazing. It was actually probably one of my best Airbnb experiences ever. It had really good Wi-Fi and it had air conditioning and things like that. It was probably about a third of the price of the Airbnbs that I looked at in the center. So this local area has literally everything that you need. It has a lot of shops and cafes and grocery stores and things like that, and a lot of the places are actually cheaper than in the touristy areas.
So after Cartagena, I got the bus to Santa Marta. I think the bus cost somewhere between $15 and $20. In my opinion, Santa Marta doesn't have so much. There's not so much to do there. There's the beach and there's some places to walk around, but I think Santa Marta is a better place to go and have as a base to then go to Tayrona Park or Minca or some other parts of the north of Colombia. However, I did really like the hostel I stayed in. I believe it was called Fatima Hostel, but I'll put the name on the screen. I shared the booking with another person, so it was around $5 or $6 each per night, and it even had a swimming pool. It had a really big kitchen, a terrace, good Wi-Fi and things like that. I also really liked this coffee shop that we went to that had a lot of vegan and vegetarian options for food. From Santa Marta, we went to Tayrona Park, which if you visit the north of Colombia, I really think is a must-see. It's amazing. It's sort of like a national park in this small rainforest. It's a really good place to go hiking. We got a local bus there for probably less than $2 from the city center of Santa Marta, and then from there you have to get a minibus to the park, which I think was about another $1. You also need to buy some insurance when you get to the entrance and pay for your ticket, so I think in total the trip cost us about $20 each. But honestly, it was really worth it. You can spend the whole day there. There's a lot of places to eat, or you can bring food with you, or to have a drink or a coffee. And if you hike to the very end, you can see these beautiful beaches, which you can spend a lot of time at. The water is so warm. It's the Caribbean Sea. And also on the way back from the park, we got to see these cute little monkeys that were running around in the rainforest, and they were so cute. One of them was trying to crack a coconut, and it was just really amazing seeing the animals in their natural habitat. That's one of my favorite things about traveling to natural places.
That looks like the baby.
Aww.
So cute.
Oh, no lo molestes, hija. Pues. Ay, divino, mírelo.
Qué bebé.
So after Santa Marta and Tyrona Park, I really wanted to go to another area called Minca, but unfortunately I didn't have the time, so I headed to Medellin. To save money, instead of getting a flight, I got 2 buses, which took quite a while. I think they were night buses. So one of them went from Santa Marta to Bucaramanga, and then I got another bus from Bucaramanga to Medellin. Medellin is a pretty busy city, as you can see. It's sort of like the heart of Colombia, I would say. There's a lot going on there. You can find pretty much anything that you want to do, and it's fairly diversified in comparison to other cities. One of the disadvantages to Medellin is that they don't have the coast, unlike cities like Santa Marta and Cartagena, but I had a really good time in Medellin. I actually ended up spending a long time there. I spent some of the time with my friend that I had been traveling with, and then I also spent some time solo, so I stayed in 2 different areas. Overall, I felt pretty safe in Medellin also. It's got a reputation for being a relatively dangerous city, the same as Cartagena. I just sort of used the same logic I would use in most dangerous cities, like, you know, being careful with your phone. I didn't walk a lot after night, but even after dark, I got like motor taxis. Went after dark to busy areas such as here, Comuna 13. And I always felt very safe. Comuna 13 was definitely one of the highlights of Medellin and one of the highlights of my time in Colombia in general. It's an area that used to be dangerous in the mountains of Medellin, like many of the communities living there. They used to struggle with a lot of violence and poverty, but now it's just been transformed into this beautiful area where you can support a lot of local artists, local sellers, local restaurants, and you can get such a fantastic view of the city. I actually went there quite a few times. I loved it so much. This is the sort of center of Medellin, like the downtown area and the main plaza and everything. I wouldn't say it's anything particularly special. It's nice, but definitely a bit sketchy. I really had to keep my whereabouts around there. Nothing happened, everything was fine, but just going by my instincts and my gut feelings, I definitely felt safer in other areas. Another area in Medellin that's quite popular is this neighborhood called El Poblado. I didn't actually get much footage there. It's popular because it's sort of relaxed and there's a lot to do, but it's not too hectic like the downtown, and it's also got a reputation for being very safe.
Paparazzi.
There's a lot of bars there, a lot of restaurants, so a lot of tourists tend to stay there. The only thing I would say, it's very expensive. Unfortunately, I really don't have much to show of it. Just like one clip. So the final place that I went to in Colombia was this beautiful little town called Salento. And I really think anyone who visits Colombia has to go here. Maybe it gets overlooked sometimes because it's really small, but it's about 5 to 6 hours on the bus from Medellin, and I really think it's a must-see. The little town itself is beautiful, but I also really enjoyed my day trip to Cocora Valley, which is a place that Colombia is kind of well known for. The Disney movie, I believe it's called Encanto, is based off of this place. and it's just stunning, like these high palm trees, a lot of places to go hiking. If you want to go hiking, if you really want to be out in the nature, this is the perfect place. It was raining a lot when I was there, but honestly, that didn't ruin the day at all. It was still really nice. You can take these jeeps from the city center of Salento that I showed at the start of the clip, which bring you straight there, and it's not so expensive. I think like a couple of dollars. And then there's certain parts of Cocorda Valley you have to pay to go into, and then some parts are free. I actually unfortunately lost all of my footage from the coffee farm I went to visit in Salento also, but that's also a must-see. It's called Don Elias Coffee Farm. I'm going to write down the name somewhere here on the screen. I also highly recommend it. I'm so disappointed I lost my footage from there. I filmed like the whole coffee making process and the farms. Also so beautiful, and literally had the best tour guide ever, but sadly this footage has disappeared into the void. So as a conclusion to the video, I just wanted to talk very briefly about the food in Colombia because it was absolutely amazing. I don't have too many clips unfortunately because most of the time I was busy just like stuffing my face, but I highly recommend trying repas, which are a traditional Colombian and Venezuelan dish, and I also recommend trying Colombian empanadas, and finally bandeja paisa, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That is the national dish of Colombia, particularly Medellin. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.